Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and everybody in between, welcome to another episode of the Chaps Chat Cats, part of the Hoops Crew Media Network. My name is Jake, and I'm joined in the virtual studio by the one and only Mr. Johnny Larkin with his Geelong fairy lights in the background. How are you, Johnny?
Oh, yes. Pretty good. Pretty good. Still can't believe we're doing a match preview. It feels kind of silly. It's kind of strange that we're actually back into it. I'm not used to this yet. And next week we're going to be doing 2 episodes possibly next week.
It's kind of good. You know how with this we get a match sim, which is essentially not quite a preseason game, and then we get a proper preseason game, and then a little break before the start of the Geelong season. We get the same on the podcast in the sense that we're doing one episode this week, which is essentially our match sim. It's our match sim of a preview. And then next week, next Monday, we're going to do a proper recap of this game. And then on the Thursday or something, we'll do a preview. So that'll be our first proper, attempt at a normal Chaps week where we do a match recap and a match preview in the same week. And then we'll have a week off. I mean, we won't have a week off. We'll still do episodes. But we've got a week to tweak things before we really get into the season proper. So that's what's on the show tonight. A Cats v Carlton match sim preview. We're going to get into all of our thoughts heading into this game. A lot of unknowns, obviously, Johnny.
Plenty.
Yeah, well, let's just start there, just with the general sort of thoughts about it. Like, how crazy is it to you that footy's back? What are you feeling? With the men's comp back, like, it's kind of a weird one for me. Although we've had the women's season, which only ended in late November for us, it still feels like it's been a massive gap between the end of that women's season and this first game of the preseason.
It does. It does feel like a massive gap, and I still have to remind myself that there is a game on this week, or match sim this week. It still doesn't. I was thinking, oh, maybe we could make it down, and then I checked the date, and I was like, it's this coming Thursday. It'll be a bit of a rush to get down to Melbourne on such short notice. But yeah, I was thinking next week. It's next week. It's next week, and then it's here this week, and just doesn't feel just right just yet. It's still February. Footy normally isn't played around this time. Normally, it used to be pre-season was in March, and now it's season starts early March and goes all the way through to nearly December now. It feels a bit surreal. But I was saying, and just as you were talking about the match sim and then the pre-season proper, they should bring back the pre-season cup. I saw a little article on there saying how I think they said Carlton's the reason why the preseason cup went away because they won it one year. They won the preseason cup, and everyone was like, "Oh, they're gonna make a comeback. They're gonna make finals." Then they finished last, and then the old saying came in: "It's only preseason." And they reckon from that season on, I'm not sure what year it was. It was late, sort of between 2000.
Let me find it.
2000 2010, and I reckon that's the year that the preseason sort of started to die off because people didn't take it as seriously because it was usually a stepping stone of seeing which teams could make an improvement, and then when Carlton didn't, it sort of just died. But I would like to see the preseason cup come back. Cut the season.
I'm glad you brought this up.
Down a bit. Bring it back to preseason, and then this way, these young up and coming stars of each team gets a proper hit out before the season starts. The teams get a better idea what could happen. A few niggles could come up, but that's what you'd rather happen in a preseason, so you can get your players fit, and it just gives us fans a bit more excitement, something to cheer about.
Well, I think it's fascinating, like, that you bring this up. I think it's interesting to note that, like, it feels like a lot of professional contact sports are going in this direction. Like, I'm a long time viewer of the NFL, and that preseason is being whittled down. I mean, it used to be that they play like 5 or 6 preseason games in the 70s or whatever it was. To the point where we play. I think they went to 3 this year. It was 4 when I started watching, and I think before too long they'll go to 2. Um, and in some ways, they're moving. The move to 3 has also brought about. Well, we'll get together with another team and we'll train and do a match sim sort of thing. I think there's like health and safety parts of this. I wouldn't be surprised. I don't know, but it wouldn't surprise me if it's been a part of the whole, collective bargaining thing where players are going, no, we're not playing like 4 or 5 preseason matches in a tournament and risking
Mhm.
getting injured. I think that parts of that for the club. But I'm with you. Like, it was always something I used to look forward to. I still have strong memories of going to watch Geelong and Fremantle play at the Telstra Dome in 2006. I believe it was when the Cats beat Freo in either a semi-final or whatever it was. Um, and it was really nice. It was a great twilight game. I'm just looking back through the list, Johnny.
Yep.
So on Wikipedia, if you look up the preseason / nighttime premiers, there's good lists there. And what it actually does is shows you who the premier of the nighttime preseason cup was, who the runner-up was, and then where those 2 teams ended up finishing in the normal season.
Ah, lovely.
So if for instance, if you go back to 1988, Hawthorn won the preseason cup and also went on to win the overall premiership. Melbourne won it the next year, was a semi-finalist. They beat Geelong, who was a grand finalist in 89. Essendon won the preseason cup in 1990 and then went on to make the grand final. They beat North Melbourne, who finished 6th. Hawthorn won it in 1991 and won the premiership, beating North Melbourne, who finished 8th. You look through the list, there's quite a few premiers, grand finalists, prelim finalists who have won it. Um, Look, all the way through, really.
Yeah,
Even when maybe 2006, 2007, the 2005 one, I bet you, is the Carlton one they're talking about, where Carlton won
I
the
reckon it would
preseason
be.
cup, beating West Coast, then finished last. Um, but West Coast made the grand final that year. So
Yeah,
I think maybe more so than any other competition, it's shown that teams that did, make a bit of a run in the preseason in the footy were going to have at least a half decent season. There's only a few instances when you look where at least one of the teams failed, to make finals. More often than not, they're both making finals, and one of them is making the prelim. Um, so that's at a glance, anyway. So
yeah.
I'm with you, but I understand that it's probably never going to happen. Just
It'd be
unless,
it'd be a great thing to for it to happen, but yeah, it's difficult to see that any form of more than 1 or 2 preseason games, let alone a competition type thing, ever coming back, unless, as I said, they
mm,
really cut the season back down and have like a month between the preseason and then the actual season. Like give a like a 4 weeks to a 4 month campaign, then have like a month off to make sure all the players, who may have got injured can get uh available for round one. But
mm.
I can't see that happening any
And I
time soon.
one thing I love the idea of just toying with would be an off-season cup, almost like the FA Cup, where it actually starts with all the local footy teams as well. Like
That would
any
be
footy
great.
team in that'd be amazing. I don't know how you do it, but that'd be pretty cool. Just have a purely knockout tournament. But yeah, I miss it, John. I miss the super goals.
Ah, super
I
goals.
miss. Yeah, I still think we need to do Chaps commentary of Geelong's 2006 um, nighttime premiership, which was important to me. God damn it, it's real to me. Um,
Absolutely.
like that was the first time I'd seen Geelong win anything. And it's funny when you go back and look at the amount of times, like from 1988 through to when they finally won a nighttime flag in 2006, the Cats were runner up like four times, four or five times before they actually won it. So the fact that they actually did break through and win one, they won it again in 2009. It did show that they were actually finally able to get the job done.
Mm.
Maybe just a year later than we expected when they won it in 07. All right, let's get into it though, Johnny, and we'll talk a bit about the importance of this sort of stuff. And I wanted to get your thoughts on it, and it sort of
Yeah.
tails into our conversation. But Geelong are 3 wins, 5 losses in the preseason since 2019. Believe we lost both of our preseason games in the 2022 Premiership season. We lost to Gold Coast and we lost to Richmond, and then went on to win the flag. Last year we went 1-1, flogged the Hawks, then got flogged by the Lions. Like, obviously we're about to preview the game with all our thoughts, but like as you go in, like what sort of importance do you personally place on the preseason? Like how much are you expecting to learn from this match? I mean, it's a match sim, this one, but in general, these 2 matches we're about to play in the course of the next couple of weeks, how much do you think you're going to learn about the 2024 Cats from these 2 games?
Uh, Probably not a huge amount. I think I'll be more watching what the young guys are going to be able to do this coming year. I don't think the senior guys are going to chuck up too much difference. I think if maybe if Tom Stewart does go into that midfield, it'll be interesting to see how he goes. But on a whole level, I'm not expecting a whole raft of changes for the Cats. I'll just be expecting to see some young guys, seeing how Conway, Manor, Jai Clark, probably Connor Sutherland, see how they them guys match up in this match sim. I reckon they'll probably get a fair run. But in terms of an overall Cats experience, unless they're going to change the whole game plan, whole game style dramatically, I don't think we'll be expecting a whole lot of different for the Cat. I'd like to see how. Definitely like to see Cam Guthrie play the entire both preseason games, like from start to finish, without really going off. I think he's played a senior guy, the most senior guy who's most desperate for a bit of a preseason touch up. See now he missed basically the entire 2023 season, along with Dangerfield. I think he would want to get out there and have a bit of a dust up as well. But apart from that, I can't really think of what more we could really learn going into 2024, apart from maybe a few structural changes. But I'm expecting a pretty stock standard Cats going out this match sim and maybe trying a few new things. But I tell you what, I don't think it's going to be revolutionary game breaking things that the Cats going to bring. I won't say no to it if they do. Why not? But
Mm.
from when we're sitting, I think it's looking pretty normal standard preseason matches for the Cats.
Mm. Yeah, I'm sort of in the same boat as you. Like, I don't think there's massive. I think you can overreact in a number of ways. You know, if Geelong goes out and gets pumped, you know, in its match sim games, I really don't think anyone should be running around going the sky is falling. Particularly the fact that we're 3-5 in the preseason in our last 8 games. I don't think it has a huge bearing. Particularly if you think about 2019. Made a prelim, 2020 made a grand final, 2021 made a prelim, 2022 made a grand final, 2023 obviously missed finals. But so I don't think I think it's basically about having fun. That
Yep.
there's footy back on our screens. We've had a long wait since late November when the Cats were knocked out in the women's prelim. So I think that's the fun factor. That's what I'm going to try and enjoy the most. I definitely like to try and live tour this game a bit, um, which I enjoyed doing on a few occasions last year. But it's literally not. I think it's worth not overreacting in the positive or the negative. If someone has an absolutely breakout game, it's fine to be excited about it, but let's try not to have expectations. If Jai Clark comes in and has 35 touches or something, let's not get over our skis about it. Going, oh,
Yeah,
he's about to go on an absolute a Dacos like tear in his second year in footy, and equally, if someone like a Tanner Bruin or a Patrick Dangerfield has 10 touches and looks just to tick off, let's not overreact. Let's not retire guys based on a match sim preview. So I think for
yeah,
me, it's probably you got to look at the physicality of some of the young players. I think that's something we can probably glean is how hungry some of these younger players are to push the
yeah,
senior players, and those are the guys who I think are going to be really cracking in, trying to make an impression. Um, Outside of that, you've the main thing you want to see, and I'm just going to say this now so that we talk about other things other than this when we're, you know, previewing what we want to see is like health. We both would agree that's the main
yes,
thing. Let's get out of it healthy because if you remember last year, everything was feeling really good. We smacked the Hawks. Jack Henry played up forward because Tom Hawkins was out dealing with his injury, and then Jack Henry limps off part of the way through this game. And it's like, oh boy, he's re-injured his foot. And from there,
yep.
in
Nothing
some
went
ways,
right.
that preseason was a bit of a yeah, exactly. So let's just take it all with a grain of salt. But let's
Yeah,
let's get through healthy. Let's get through healthy.
yeah.
Um,
Health
and if
is the
that
big
means we have
thing.
to manage minutes, who cares? Let
Yeah,
let manage some minutes. Um,
just gonna say I
it's
wouldn't be.
interesting. You go.
I wouldn't be surprised if Hawkins, even Cameron, don't play in this match sim. I wouldn't be surprised at all if they're just going. You know what? We don't need you guys to run out right away. You don't need you guys in this match sim to do anything. You guys to save it for the actual
Mm,
preseason game, and let's see how Henry and Shannon Neal and Phoenix Foster, if he plays that forward, go and give
mm,
those young forwards a bit of a go. And I don't think, I personally don't think Hawkins and Cameron don't need to really play this preseason game. They're pretty senior. They know what they're doing. They know what their role is. They know what to bring to the table when
mm.
the season starts. So yeah, I, I wouldn't. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if they don't play, but they'll probably play some minutes. But I would really like to see some of the younger guys get a nice hit out this match sim, and I think some of the senior guys will be
Mm.
pretty happy to let that happen. But as I said, I'd really like to see Cam Guthrie play both match sim and preseason game just to see how he can get through that toe and make sure he's right.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Um, so we're both in agreement. We want to see health. The
Yeah,
results don't particularly matter at all. We're not playing for premiership points. We're not even playing for a trophy. It's just, ramping up the intensity just a little bit. Um, but let's maybe get into some more specifics of things we want to see. Let's start giving people the details. I'm sure everyone probably already knows, but the match sim is taking place at Icon Park up in Melbourne, Thursday, the 22nd of February from 11:30 a.m. Entry is free for everybody. Gates open at 10 o'clock via gates 5 and 6. This is all from the article on the Cats website. The match sim will consist of 8 20-minute periods with the club's VFL sides to do battle from periods 5 to 8. So the first half, the first 4 periods of play will be the AFL teams, periods 5 and 8 will be the VFL teams. The game will be broadcast on KO from 11:30 a.m. And we're going to get a squad released, Johnny, at 5 o'clock on Wednesday. So
okay.
I'm interested to see that. I'll probably try and watch the whole thing with the VFL coverage I'm wanting to do this year. Um, Yeah, I'll try and watch periods 5 to 8 as well. Let's get into it though. What are some player specific things that we want to see? I mean, we've had months and months of, rumor mill stuff of like, oh, this player's really training the house down. Oh, Sean Mannor's going to come in and he's going to, make an immediate impact. Toby Conway is going to take the ruck job. Should he stay healthy? Tanner Bruin's really taking steps forward. Mitch Nevitt's been quoted as feeling like he's really improving. George Stevens, like all these headlines have been floating around. And all we've really seen is a couple of small clips on Instagram and some still photographs. So, what's the number one thing for you, Johnny, going in, a player specific point that you're most excited to see with your own eyeballs? You finally get to have a look at this thing. What is it for you?
Um, seen seen Phoenix Foster out there, seen him in the Cats hoops, seen him run out there and have a crack alongside, I reckon, Sean Manor as well. I'm really looking forward to them too, and also what Oliver Henry will bring this year as well. Really looking forward to him, but mostly excited for Phoenix Foster because we've had him on the pod and he was a great guy and easy to talk to, easy to get along with, and just seems like a one of those guys that's super happy to play footy and really keen to crack in. So I'm really looking forward to seeing what energy he brings to the team. And I feel like he could be one of those
Mm,
high energy guys that really lifts the team's energy up when he comes on and just go out there and have a bit of fun, have a crack, and really pressure some of those senior guys for a spot. I feel like this is a perfect opportunity for a few young guys to really put their hand up for round one, these next two games, and really put the
mm,
pressure on some senior guys. Um, because it's what the senior guys will be wanting and what the Cats will be wanting
mm.
to see. And also Jai Clark. I'd like to see what Jai Clark's up to, see how he's going, seeing if he'll but also put his hand up for round one. But I think I'm most excited for Phoenix Foster, seeing him in
So what do
an
you what
actual game.
so what is it for you with Phoenix Foster? Like, do you care if he plays up forward? Do you care if he plays down back?
Uh,
Um, like what I guess from your fans' perspective, you're wanting this young player to come in. Where do you see his future? Where do you hope his future is?
well, by the sounds of it, can play anywhere, and I'm sort of leaning towards maybe defensive area
Mm,
because I feel like the forward line
particularly
is
if Tom Stewart's going to the midfield.
yeah, especially if that's happening because we've got Shannon Neal to go up forward, and
Mm,
he could become a pretty great player. We've got Oliver Henry, who's
mm,
already a serious target up forward. I feel like if we get Phoenix Foster like in that halfback playing that sort of Tui type role, because as you said, and many people have said, he's got a booming kick that's also extremely
mm,
accurate. If he can do what Tui does off that back line and just pump it inside 50 for Henry or Neil, then that's pretty exciting.
mm.
So I'll slightly lean
Yeah,
towards defense at this point. But
yeah.
if he plays up forward, I won't complain either because some of those kicks he did, some of those goals he got for the VFL side is pretty pretty exciting to see. But at this point, defensive area.
I think he's in a like a super exciting like prospect to have as part of your squad, and he is interesting. Like he presents an interesting set of skills. Like he's a big, tall, sort of, he's got long arms, long legs. He's got good reach. It's nothing to see him reach over and pluck marks over people. But something that stands out is that like that long raking kicking. I mean, he kicked a goal against Richmond in the VFL that was from outside 50 and it went through, middle of the way up the posts. It was an absolute rocket launched into the atmosphere. And then when they moved him down back, it was interesting. Obviously, he doesn't provide that same like ground ball um, ability that Tui does. I don't think you're gonna have Phoenix Foster playing on smalls. He would be primarily playing as on tall players and being used to intercept. Using his height and his reach. But what he does present from the attacking point of view out of the back line is that long kick. And there's a couple of really great examples last season when he moved down back of him just you know pinpointing 50, 60-meter passes, and just putting it on a line to absolute perfection. Uh, he it is a real weapon. Now, it'd be interesting to see how that would be used at AFL level. VFL, is obviously a little bit different, um, in terms of just the speed of the game, the way it's played, all those sorts of things. But I think he presents, a really fascinating set of skills, and I'm fascinated to see what sort of jump he takes forward in this season. I'm going to go, Johnny, with O'Sheen Mullen.
Oh, yes.
I'm really
Great one.
fascinated to see O'Sheen Mullen in year two, and I suppose keen to see what's interesting about him, I guess, is he's already exceptionally. Some of the players you're looking at, have they bulked up? Have they added speed? Have they added size? All that sort of thing. He's already there
Mm.
in both of those categories. He's already one of the best athletes on Geelong's list. I don't know if you saw the footage of him absolutely burning up a sprint on the training track. Like, he's just got pace to burn. But for me, it's going to be, how comfortably does he look in the sport? What positions is he taking up when he doesn't have the ball? How is his ability reading the play? How is his ability now when he, takes a mark and he thinks through it? Does he get the ball and stop and go back and take his kick, or does he get the ball and just take off, not realizing he can take that moment? Like, how much has the culture and the rules and sort of structure of the game taken hold uh,
Mm.
for him? That's what I'm interested to see. How comfortable does he look playing footy going into year two? So that's something I'm pretty excited to see. Um,
Definitely.
can I pitch a question to you then?
Go for it. Pitch me your
The Tom
question.
Stewart the Tom Stewart thing. Do you want to see, like, in your heart of hearts, what would you prefer to see? We go and we play the whole the whole match sim game. Tom Stewart operates out of defense as he normally does, maybe takes one or two center bounces, but that's it. Or would you prefer to see Tom Stewart goes in, bounce one, lines up at the center, and only starts to go back if Geelong are under threat? Like, give me your inner workings. Doesn't have to make sense. Just tell me what you want, John. What do you want to see?
I'm going to go with start him in the midfield, play him in the midfield for most of that game. He's going up against Patrick Cripps and a few other Carlton players that I can't think of who are, Carlton's an up and coming team. They've got a young, fairly capable midfield who I think could be one of the. It sounds like they're going to be one of the best midfielders in the comp in this next few coming years and whatnot. So why not chuck him in against a really good team and see how he goes? And if he can't do what he normally does and doesn't enjoy it or doesn't feel like he's having that impact, then just send him back down defence because we know how good he is in defence. And if he's not feeling it in a match sim, then I don't think he would want to do it again in a proper season playing in the midfield. So chuck caution to the wind in this preseason. Why not just chuck him in there, see how he goes, see how he feels, see how the team structures up as well, because it could absolutely dismantle everything the Cats have built up structurally with him going into midfield. And why not? It could, and it also could change the team completely in a positive way. So I can't see any reason why they won't try it this game because what could you lose? You can't lose much. But you can gain a fair amount of knowledge and an idea of what the team could look like if he does move inside the midfield, how the team will go defensively without him there, how the midfield will work with him in there as well. Will it work? Won't it work? It feels like it's a win-win
Mm.
situation for the Cats. If it fails, we're getting back in defence, which is a win. And if it works, well, he's a superstar player who can play midfield and defence, so that's another win. So I can't see any reason why not.
No, I really love your reasoning there. I think you're right. I think this is the perfect time to test this against a pretty decent opposing midfield. As you said, there's nothing to lose. I agree. Start him in there. Let's see how it goes. Let's have a glimpse at what that might look like. It might look horrible, because it's not, and it's not just about, as you're saying, like you've made great points there, because it's not just about learning, can Tom Stewart legitimately play midfield? Can and people should go and read the Shinboner article about. I'm just trying to find. Here we go. It's Ricky Mangidis writes on his website, the Shinboner, and he's just put out new and free every team's look ahead for 2024. So normally there's a lot of Patreon features. These are all free. He's done a look ahead article for all 18 AFL clubs. I went and read his one for Geelong, and it's very, very good. And you should read it, because he manages to avoid the usual stereotypes of like Geelong's old and so they're shagged kind of thing. He asks interesting questions about it. He takes a curious mind to Geelong's list management, to the dynamics of it, to how it could unfold if things go right, if things go wrong, what it means moving forward. So, like, it's some of the better writing I've seen about Geelong's situation and Geelong's choices into how they build their list. And so you should definitely go read it. I retweeted it on Twitter, but he had a point in there, which I think is a point I've heard raised by a few people, is moving Tom Stewart into the midfield, robbing Peter to pay Paul. And, if Tom Stewart's a good midfielder, is it worth trading one of the game's elite best 3 intercepting defenders for just a good midfielder? I think you can get a glimpse as to how good he could be in the
Hmm.
midfield if you give him more time there. And this is a fairly consequenceless way to do it. But it also gives you a chance to see other guys down back. It gives Geelong a chance to trial the situation. All right, what if we didn't have Tom Stewart down back for a game? What if he's injured and we have to throw, someone else in with more responsibility? What if we have to play Blixarves down back? Or what if we have to play, Connor O'Sullivan down back? What if Phoenix Foster had to come in and play down back? It gives you the chance to experiment. So I'm with you, Johnny. I would like to see that. I'd like it even just because I'd love to see, some people's heads explode about it and be like,
Yeah.
what are the Cats doing? They've talked about it. We thought they were kidding. Well, I'd like it for the laughs.
Oh,
If
yes.
at the very least. Um all right. I'm also gonna throw out that I'm very excited to watch a bunch of the young midfielders.
Yep.
I'll let you let's each pick a player, and I'm assuming that most of these guys are playing. If they're not, well, like I said, we're recording this 2 days before the squad's released. But Jai Clark, George Stevens, James Willis. Where are my other ones that I was going to read out? Ted Closey. Who else will I throw in there? Those are the ones. Who are you most excited out of that group? Jai Clark, George Stevens, James Willis, and Ted Closey.
I'm going
Which
to
of
say
those guys are you most excited to see?
George Stevens. I'm pretty excited to see. I've
Yep.
seen his interview, read a couple of things about him. He seems like a real good Geelong boy who's super keen to have
Mm.
a crack at getting into the team. And he said he's Still, still thinking about the days when he was at St. Joseph's primary school and the
Mm,
impact players had on him when they came in to visit. And he said it was pretty remarkable to think that he's having that same impact on a new generation of young kids as well. So I feel like he's one who's all in Geelong. He's all there just for the
mm,
Cats and wanting to impress for the Cats and just get out there and show what he's worth. So I think he's a sneaky guy that could really, throw a spanner in the works for the selection team. Really throw a spanner into the other young guys like Jai Clark and the senior guys who might not expect him
mm.
to come out and play as well. Well, they probably will expect him to come out and play really well. They've, training with him. It's more the fans like us who don't see able to go to open trainings or see him in person at those open trainings and
Mm,
whatnot. So I think I'll be really excited to see what he brings because all I'm hearing is great things about him and and the
yeah,
effort he's putting in, the amount of hard work and extra work he's putting in at the club. So I feel like he could be one that could excite many Cats fans.
absolutely. Um, Getting towards the end of the public part of the show here, Johnny. So we might just
We
do a
are.
couple of quick fire bits and pieces. But I do want to just say two of the headshots I love the most from Geelong's list pictures on the website. Joe Furphy, number 37, and number 15, George
Oh
Stevens,
yes.
because both of them look like they are the headshots look like they're from different eras. George Stevens' headshot on the Cats website definitely looks like someone who was on one of those like 90s Cats posters where they were like extremely like oiled up. Remember they'd look
Yep.
like Thanksgiving turkeys or something, Christmas
Oh
chickens,
yes.
like they're always like super oiled up. So George Stevens' headshot on the thing, and I mean this in a good way, looks like it could be from one of those 90s posters. Joe Furphy definitely looks like he was on a footy card for the Cats in like the 70s. I
Oh
love it.
yes.
I'll put both the pictures on our Twitter. Maybe I should make them up as footy cards.
Oh,
Um,
why not? The Hoops Crew
I'm
footy cards.
That's right. Let me throw out a quick hitter, Johnny. Um, Excited to see Mitch Nevitt. I
Yes.
think he's going to take another step forward physically, and I think if he does that, then it's going to be putting him in good stead to earn a spot in the side on a regular basis because the skills part of the Mitch Nevitt experience is pretty appealing. So if he's taken another step forward with his strength and power, I think that sets him up well. So I'm going to be pretty fascinated to watch him. Who's another quick hitter player that you're fascinated to watch in this match, Sim?
Ooh, another one. Gotta be quick. Gotta be quick, which I'm not being. Um, let's see. Connor O'Sullivan. Probably talked a little about him already, but I'm
Yep.
excited to see what he brings. Again, sort of like George Stevens, hearing a lot of excitement around him, a lot of good things. He's a hard worker as well,
Mm.
and looking like he could have an immediate impact. So I think he's another one that I'll be excited to watch and I reckon to keep an eye on.
Yep. Absolutely. I like that. I suppose he and Jai Clark bring that pressure of both being like high-ish first round picks,
Mm,
or at least, first round picks. Was he a first round pick for the
which
Cats? I
is,
think he was,
yeah,
wasn't
he
he,
was.
Connor
He
O'Sullivan?
was. Yeah,
Yep.
which is the first for Cats 2 years in
Um,
a row. First round picks, like high end first round picks.
that
Crazy.
Jack Bowes fleecing,
No,
brilliant.
I'm
Um,
pretty sure it still pisses
I
so many people off.
It'll piss people off we win a flag this year. I
Yep.
I'm pretty other end of the spectrum, I'm pretty interested to see I'm gonna do two real quick. I'm interested to see how Tom Hawkins looks.
Yep.
The
If he
just
plays,
fascinated to
will
see,
will he play?
that's
I mean,
that's a fair question. If
I'll be
if he
surprised if he
plays,
doesn't play. But as I said
yeah,
earlier,
and it'd just
I
be
don't need
interesting to
him to
see
play.
how he leads, how he gets around the ground, and all that sort of thing.
Yeah.
want to see him get through healthy. So if he plays a quarter, that's fine by me. And the other second one is Ollie Dempsey. Ollie Dempsey is a player who just has talent out the wazoo, and I'm just interested to see where he fits. So I guess that's what I'm interested to see, where they play him, because I think you could play him in the forward 50. I think you could play him in the back 50. I think you could play him at stoppages. I think you could play him on the wing. He's a really diverse player. So I'm just fascinated to see where they line him up and what they do with him. Do you have any more, Johnny, or we wrap it up there?
I'll say Sam De Koning, see how he goes in this preseason game. He was a bit off his usual dynamics off last year, so I'd be interested to see if he comes out with that same intent as he did in 2022, where he wasn't afraid to leave his man and take those intercept marks. And I feel like if he goes into a match sim and a preseason game with a mindset to intercept, I feel like it'll be a step in the right direction for him. And I think he can.
Yeah.
He just lost a bit of confidence last year,
Definitely.
which is fair enough when your defense is being absolutely bombarded at a pretty tremendous rate.
It would be really, really good actually if we got to see. I'm just looking back through the match sim list from last year against the Hawks. I can't see Phoenix Foster and I can't see James Willis. So I don't think if you haven't watched the VFL, anyone listening or watching won't have seen those two players play at all, not even in a match sim for the club. So, we got little looks at some of the other players. We've seen nothing of James Willis or Phoenix Foster in an AFL game, whether it's match sim or otherwise. So I'd be really keen to see both of those guys and for other people to get to see them. So that's it. That's all for the public part of this show. We're going to go duck behind the Patreon curtain now, and we're going to do our first. Speaking of trying to get back into the swing of things, Johnny, we're going to do our Patreon match predictions. We're going to try and predict who has the most disposals, who wins most clearances, most tackles, most goals, that sort of thing.
And do we have our last moment that we'll get inked?
I think we've already done them. We've wrapped up our 3. I know.
I had in my mind I had one more, but we have. Silly me.
That's all good.
Me.
So we're going to get into that. So if you want to sign up for the Patreon, jump on over to the Hoops Crew on Patreon. And remember, if you're listening to this, subscribe on Spotify, Apple Podcasts. We would love if you went and gave us a 5-star rating and a review on your favorite podcast listening app. If you're watching on YouTube, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell so you hear anytime we drop new stuff on the Hoops Crew. There's so much coming out. Heading into this season, there is going to be pretty much daily, independently produced Cats footy content from the Hoops Crew. So jump on board and join us for the ride. All right, we've actually got footy to watch in a few days' time. Once it starts, it won't stop until late November, maybe early December if we make an AFLW Grand Final. Until next time, go Cats!
Go Cats!